Can we all stop asking if the Helix is still relevant in year XYZ? You're starting to hurt its feelings. Hey there guys, Darren here, very warm welcome back to the channel. Now, today we're tackling a question that pops up more often than that old friend who can't stop asking for a ride home after a party. Is the Line 6 Helix still relevant? Or how about, is the Helix old? For some reason, it just feels like you're asking if your favourite classic rock album is still cool, and of course it is, and spoiler alert, I'm about to throw some serious shade on that question. Okay, so let's break this down. The Line 6 Helix hit the scene in 2015, and it is a complete beast. Okay, so let's break this down. The Line 6 Helix hit the scene back in 2015, so that's 10 years ago as of recording this, and it is still a complete beast. Now, just imagine if guitars were judged in the same way. I mean, we are playing instruments that were designed about 70 odd years ago. And that's before we even get into the amps. We are still cranking these old tube amps that are basically relics from the Stone Age. Great tones or primitive screamers, you can decide that. But let's compare the beloved Helix to some of the other big players in the game. I mean, we have the fractal axe effects, which is practically the Swiss Army knife of modelling. But it is like that overachiever in school who does everything perfectly. Excellent sound, but sometimes you do need a degree just to program it. Meanwhile, the Kemper profiling amp and all the Kemper range stuff is like your cool cousin who comes over and just nails every song on the first try. It captures tones from all of your favourite amplifiers, but hey, sometimes it's just a bit too serious for my style. And then we've got the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, which is super trendy right now. It's like the new kid on the block with a skateboard, and everybody's impressed by its sleek design and power. But let me tell you, the Helix has been around long enough to know all the good spots to hang out. It's like that reliable friend who always has your back when things get tough. But now everyone's looking for the next viral sensation. So the Helix keeps getting updates, and its firmware is like the coolest kid in school always getting new gadgets. And meanwhile, your favourite vintage gear is out here showing off its experience. But who wouldn't want a beloved amp that's like a grumpy grandparent who still tells you to eat your vegetables but gives the best hugs? But in all fairness to the Line 6 Helix, 10 years after its original release, we're still getting all the updates, and they've even gone as far as changing the internal processing engine of the Helix. So it is literally a different animal now, the time of recording this in 2025, to what it was upon release in 2015. But let's be real, if we judged everything by how new or relevant it is, we'd have to toss away the majority of our gear as guitar players. Let's take, for example, the humble tube screamer. That's been around for, at this point, 40, maybe 50 years. I haven't got a clue, if I'm going to be honest with you. Nobody ever asks if that is still relevant. Nobody ever asks if that technology is out of date. Or nobody ever says the tube screamer is old. So what's different about the Line 6 Helix? Hell, the Kemper is older than the Helix. And in terms of its overall functionality, it hasn't really changed at all since its release. Okay, but to be fair, the new Kemper stuff and what they've done with the subscriptions and the little... Nah, not cool, man. Not cool. But let's flip the question on its head overall. Instead of asking, is the Line 6 Helix or any piece of gear, instead of asking, is it relevant, let's spill the tea on how you are using it to pump out all of those tones. I want to know, what's your go-to preset in the Line 6 Helix? Amp, effects, anything. What makes you feel like a rock star? What makes you feel inspired to write, to record? Add it down in the comments below and let's start a conversation. So yes, this was a little bit of a rant about all those videos coming up left, right and centre. The Helix is old. The Line 6 Helix is out of date. The Line 6 Helix, is it still relevant? It is. It's about as relevant as your tube screamer. It's a good bit of gear that, okay, yeah, it's digital, but the technology is still newer than half of the stuff on your pedal board, and ultimately half of the guitars that you take out. I'm going to use, for example, a Telecaster. This was the first solid body electric guitar that Fender put in production, if I'm not misunderstood. But people still go after the old, people still go after the vintage, People still go after the stuff like, oh, back like it was in the 1950s and 60s. Why are we talking about it with this? It's 10 years old. These things are 60 to 70 years old. Why? Why? A lot of companies often talk about innovation and all the new things they're doing, but ultimately, being honest with ourselves as guitar players, the technology is old. There's nothing new. Not really. And like I said, this is only 10 years old. Is it still relevant? Yes, it's about as relevant as your Tube Screamer, your Boss SD1, your compressor, your Fender Telecaster, your Fender Stratocaster, your Gibson SG, your Les Paul, your 335, your Converse All-Stars. I don't bloody know. But all I'm really trying to say is, as musicians, as guitar players, as people who like their gear, we need to stop focusing so much on whether a piece of gear is still relevant 10 years after its release. Now you look back on YouTube and there's been "Is the Line 6 Helix still relevant?" videos every year from multiple people for the last 5 years, I think, maybe even 6 years. All of the updates is getting, the fact that the internals have been changed, the Line 6 Helix is very much still relevant, still found on stages all over the world by amateurs and professionals alike, still in studios, again, like your Strats, like your Telecasters, like your Tube Screamers, like your analog pedals that you've got. Take this for example, review demo coming very soon, but the technology in this is still older than this. No one asks if a bloody blues breaker type thing is still relevant, do they? Thanks for tuning into the channel today, guys. If you enjoyed this little rant, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more content that I've got planned coming. Until next time, keep the tunes fresh and the jokes moderately funny, which I'm not very good at. Bye!